It may sound like a radical question, but I think it's a valid one. Why have product managers at all? If you're in tech, product management is just kind of a foregone conclusion. We know that that's part of the product team. As you get outside of tech, in services companies, for example, who haven't adopted product management, that question has to be answered, to usually a bunch of executives who are making decisions. So how do you justify product management when, strictly speaking, we're not critical? A lot of great products have been built without product management. My basic answer to that, the reason that product management exists is it is a risk management strategy. So taking a new product to market is extremely risky. It fails a lot. So it behooves the organization to do what they can to minimize that risk. So what are the risks that we're minimizing? I think there's one fundamental risk that product management has to address. And it has to do with the different ways we see the world, whether we see something functional, kind of outside in, see our product the way the market does, whether we see things from an implementation perspective. And what our industry learned is that you should not have people with an implementation perspective running the business. It is almost impossible to do a great job implementing the product, also keep up with the market and what the company is trying to achieve, those things. So they dedicated a role. This is a big investment in somebody who throughout the life cycle of the product is responsible for maximizing business value. And that means serving the market in a way that also serves our needs, whether that's revenue, margin, whatever it is. Product managers, good product managers are always balancing these things. What's good for the market, what is good for us. So that is the fundamental risk that we're addressing, that if you have an implementation mindset, you will lose sight of these other things, and over time you will not maximize the business value of your product, including risking its existence, its viability. So I think that is the fundamental risk, but there are a bunch of other risks that we should be helping to mitigate. One of them is this tendency to build things for an entire market, to go way too broad, when the way that we win is by figuring out which segments we can serve 10 times better than anybody else. Great product managers do that. They realize serving the whole market is a fool's errand. It doesn't make sense. They will identify the segments that they can serve, and they will do that. We also help make sure that we get things to market on time. We can spend a lot of time building the perfect solution. This is an implementation mindset, making it elegant, get to market too late, and still lose, because the smart thing to do was go with something imperfect to market a little bit earlier. We also, as I alluded to before, make sure that as we're developing something, somebody's paying attention to the business objectives, that we don't spend too much on developing something just because it's cool or it's interesting, but we spend just enough so that we can introduce it to the market and meet our business objectives, which may be around margin or those other things. We also help make sure that we don't over-index on the core functionality of the product. A product manager should understand the whole life cycle and should think, wow, we have to onboard people very efficiently. These are some things that, in my experience, technicians overlook very often. They think about how this thing is going to operate, how they're going to build it, and not so much about how people are going to become aware of it. How are they going to start using it? How are we going to provide support to them? And one of the last risks that we mitigate is losing touch with a changing market. Many of the markets we serve change all the time. There are new technologies, there are new trends. Overnight, really established businesses can be no more. They can go out of business. So somebody who is not so focused on the implementation and is looking at market dynamics and responding to them is super important. By the way, what product management does, one of the key benefits is it allows engineering to focus on implementation. We figure out why we're doing it, what we're trying to achieve. We describe the type of product, what needs to happen, what should this product do, and then engineering can really laser focus on implementing that, because the truth is that's more than full-time work. It is really hard to implement a product in the time allotted, with expected quality, with all the changes in technology. I was talking about market changes, technology changes too. So good product management helps reduce risk by allowing engineering to focus on what they should be doing, which is implementing the product. Hope this was helpful.